So having had the small Jääkäri for a while now and gone out on a bunch of trips with it, I have noticed a few things about it that you guys might want to know about and find interesting before you actually spend the money on one of these, because they are pretty expensive. So the most distinctive features that I found is you can only really carry about 20 to 25 pounds in it because of the lack of padding on the straps, that you have no sternum strap and you have no waist strap. So you have all that force concentrated on your shoulders. Now, that's really not that big of a deal. And you can get, if you feel the need, aftermarket shoulder pads and a sternum strap. Although if you're going to do that, you might as well just buy the medium pack. It's slightly larger than this one, but it has much more robust straps. It has a sternum strap, it has a waist strap, it has all that good stuff. Second major point about it is this has no frame. And I find that to be a good thing, because with a frame pack, you're very limited on how much you can compress it, how much crap you can cram in there. With a, just basically this thing is an empty sack when it's empty. So you could crush it every which way you want. Like, you would not believe how much crap you can absolutely load in this, because if you need to, loosen it all the way out, and if it won't go what you want in it, just crush it. Absolutely get medieval with it. I've already crushed this one down pretty good, so it's not as obvious on camera, but you can put your full weight on it, get it squished down, dress it up a little bit if you want, and you can get way more in than you could with a pack with a rigid frame in it. Additional point about the lack of a frame, I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but it just makes an oblong surface back there, you know, however the stuff ended up getting crammed in there. When you go to put it on, and I'll demonstrate that in a moment, you want to make sure that you get it really high up on your back. And when you go to cinch the straps down, you can actually mold this to your person, and it makes a perfectly U-shaped pack. You know, you don't have to have a one-size-fits-all frame. It just scrunches right onto you and is actually pretty comfortable. Other than that, I really have no comments to make. I mean, the durability is far beyond what I would ever, you know, basically you're not going to wear it out. I mean, unless you do something dumb like leave it next to the campfire and melt it, you're not going to break any of this stuff. The only possible failure point would be the buckles, and you know, if the female end of the buckle was to break, that would be kind of a pain in the ass, because there's no way to replace these. These are just stitched in there, so you would have to unstitch this to be able to replace the buckle. The male ends you could just unthread from the strap, and that would be perfectly fine. All the molly is nicely spaced. I've tried it out. You know, I've got my canteen pouch on there. The molly up here, I don't really know what exactly you would put up here as far as using the molly for its intended purpose, because pretty much anything is going to be knocking you in the back of the head as you go down the trail. I will tell you though, it works really, really well with a bungee cord to put your sleeping roll up here. If you're going to carry like a foam sleeping mat, just thread a couple of bungee cords through that and lash it down that way. It works really well. I'll have some B-roll in here of me carrying around like that. But yeah, if you're looking for a day pack, or I think this would do especially well as an assault pack. and I'll explain why in a little more detail later, then this is a really good option. As I mentioned in the overview, it's got no interior compartments other than a little water hydration compartment and just a little zippered, small item goodie type bag. So you actually do get the full volume of the bag available to you. It's not like most backpacks in this size range that have a lot of individual compartments that are very awkwardly shaped, and you end up wasting a lot of space. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Solid 5 out of 5 on this one. I think Savotta really hit it out of the park. All right, so the reason I think this would make a good assault pack is because of the lack of padding on the strap. Because if you have a lot of padding here on your gear, you have a lot of padding on your pack, then you end up with this being a real thick, bulky wad of pads that tend to roll off of each other. So your backpack straps end up moving outwards onto your shoulders further and further, which is super fatiguing, and you either have to walk around with that or be constantly adjusting it, or you have to have a really tight sternum strap, which with this particular setup probably wouldn't be that big of a deal, but if you had something like a plate carrier, then I can tell you from having been there and done that is just doesn't work very well. All right, so when I first started using this, I had a hard time getting it cinched up tight enough because of this being a little bit unusual. And what I figured out you need to do is when you go to cinch it, just go ahead and flip it all the way up and then kind of let it sink down and tighten it up like that. And then you can get it all the way up on your shoulders, and you can even kind of take and squish it onto your back a little bit. And because it doesn't have a frame, it'll mold to you and take any slack out of it. And it's a whole lot more comfortable than if you just try to stand here and straighten it up.